Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fourth installment of Ask Jeffrey Live. I first want to say to everyone out there, Merry Christmas. I know a lot of you are hopefully able to leave work early and get out on the roads. I know here in Dallas, the weather is frightening. We have rain everywhere. It pours at some points, and then there's no rain, but the roads are slick. So if you're on the road doing that last minute Christmas shopping, please be careful and just take it slow. Not too slow, but at least take it slow enough that you are careful. Being that it is the Friday before Christmas, we're going to keep this pretty light. And I want to say welcome to Lisa. Lisa, thank you for joining us. And Lisa, I'll go ahead and let you know you can leave work at 1 o'clock today. So I got your text message. So, but I want to keep things pretty light today. Of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to log on and ask away. And but until the questions start coming through, I will just keep things light. I do want to let everyone know that Sunday at midnight is, I'm looking at my notes, sorry. Sunday at midnight is the last chance you'll have to make a contribution to the campaign, and it will be matched twice over. So if you contribute $50, I have two friends that will each contribute $50 each to match your contribution. So again, you have until Christmas Eve at midnight. And just so some of you know, I will actually be attending. Let me ask Hardy. Hardy,
Yeah.
Is it at 11 o'clock on Sunday night?
Yes.
11 o'clock? And the Cathedral of Hope at 11, correct? At 11 p.m. So I will be attending the services on that night. I look forward to that. And if you can join us, that would be great. I'd love to see all of you out for midnight mass. Now, also on our calendar, if you go to www.jeffreyfortexas.com, you will see that our calendar is completely, if not almost completely, full of events from January 2nd all the way through March 6th. And March 6th, of course, is the primary. And we are on the road. I have already told my husband, Sergio, that I will spend the holidays with him. And then starting January 2nd, I will more than likely not see him until March 6th at the watch party. And we're having the watch party here in Dallas at our campaign headquarters, which is 6510 Abrams Road, Suite 100. We're on the first floor. And we invite all of you to come out and watch the the watch party on March 6th. But make sure you vote. That's the main thing. And again, for those of you who don't know, Ask Jeffrey Live is every Friday. It's at 12 Central Standard Time. And that's where you can ask me any and all questions that you may have. And so you can either email them to askjeffrey@jeffreyfortexas.com. And just so y'all know, Jeffrey is spelled Jeffrey. And or you can type them into the comment section here on the live video, or you can go online and actually ask. There's an Ask Jeffrey section on our website, and you can submit your questions during the week, and then we'll bring them up when we do Ask Jeffrey Live. Pardon me. My allergies are kicking my rear end today, mainly because yesterday, I believe it was 75 degrees, and today is, it's not 75 degrees, it's cold. And they are predicting from last time I looked at the weather that we might have snow in a few days, which means it will be 85 and balmy the next day. So who knows? Let's see. Tony, thank you for logging on. Let's see. I apologize. I've got to make this print bigger, and they showed me how to do it, and I forgot. So let's see. My question is, how are you planning on addressing the social, I'm sorry, y'all, that plague the aging population here? Oh, thank you. Okay. No, I have to thank Justin. He sent it to me in bigger text, so I appreciate it. I have trifocals now. I never thought I'd have glasses, much less trifocals. And sometimes you just have to find the sweet spot in the lenses to actually be able to read what's in front of me. Let's see. So, Tony, again, thank you for your question. Let's see, how you plan on addressing the social to plague the aging population here in Texas. I would almost ask you, Tony, to expound upon that. As far as in what way, I want to make sure I answer the question that you're posing, and I do apologize for that. But I just, I know because I'm one of the aging population here in Texas. I'm a month away from being 50 myself, but I'm holding on to 49 if anyone asks. But when we look at our aging population, I believe what is happening, and Tony, if I go in the wrong direction in answering your question, please feel free to type again and log on and clarify if I end up going in the wrong direction. But from what I'm gathering from your question is, I believe that the aging population, especially when it comes to their health care, especially when it comes to what's going to be addressed very shortly, which is their Social Security, their Medicare, the cuts are coming. There's no way that on a federal level that they can actually add $1.5 trillion to the debt, upwards of $1.5 trillion to the debt, and not start cutting what they're calling entitlement programs. I don't believe that entitlement programs is the correct word for those, simply because they're programs that we've paid into our entire life. So if you call it an entitlement program, okay, I'll go along with it as long as they understand that I am entitled to receive what I paid into it. So yeah, it is an entitlement program to a point, but I paid it. And the companies I worked for, and being a small business owner, I know, for every dollar an employee puts into the Social Security or Medicare program, as an employer, I match it. And so this is money we've put in. So yeah, I'm entitled to get it back, and they don't need to mess with it. So I'm sorry, how will you address the food? Okay, who are low income and middle class. Sometimes they have to determine how they're going to pay for their medication or buy food. Okay, Tony, yes. When we look at that, there's only so much we can rely on nonprofits to actually help. And what we need to do is ensure that on the government side, because government is supposed to be there for the welfare of the people, I've always believed, and to ensure that those individuals, in this case seniors, aren't having to make that decision between medication and buying food. And so what we need to do is ensure that if Social Security, Medicare, and so on is cut, or even if it isn't cut, there is a shortfall in what they receive currently. So, pardon me. So what we have to do as the state is make sure that they are, and that's why I do believe in a single payer program when it comes to medical insurance. And what we need to do is ensure that the pharmaceutical companies aren't gouging or continue to gouge our society. with their medications. We pay more for medication than any other developed country, and that needs to stop. And when I say it needs to stop, I mean it needs to stop. And you need someone that's going to lead that way into the pharmaceutical companies and tell them, look, in Texas, we have around 23 to 24 million people as a population. And you can't gouge and make these huge profits on the backs of, in this case, senior citizens. And in all honesty, I'd go beyond the senior citizens. And there are people who aren't even senior citizens who are having to make the determination of whether or not they pay for their medication or food or electricity or any of the other essentials that they need. And that needs to stop. We need to bring them into the room, and we need to have that heart-to-heart discussion with them, because it's not going to be an easy discussion. You're talking about their money, what they feel is their money. You're talking about their bottom line. And, pharmaceutical companies at the end of the day are beholden to one person, and that is their shareholder or shareholders. And that is incorrect. That is not something that we need to we don't need to be making sure that the rich keep getting richer. We need to make sure that when it comes to medication and healthcare in general, that it is not a for-profit business. We are not to be making these huge profits on the backs of people who honestly can't afford it. And so we'll put programs together in which to ensure that seniors aren't having to make those decisions between medication and food, or medication and any other essential that they may need. Now, Jonathan asks, what is your stance on medical and recreational cannabis? Jonathan, I think I answered this on the second one, but I'll happily answer it again. And I do appreciate you logging on and asking the question. When it comes to medical cannabis, we need to allow doctors full access to be able to prescribe what they believe is a solution for their patient. And the effects of medical cannabis on a person's system is almost nominal compared to some of the drugs that we're currently giving. We have to look, for example, at our veterans who have PTSD. They need to have access to medical marijuana or medical cannabis, excuse me. And doctors need to be given that latitude so that they can prescribe that for their patients. And when it comes to recreational cannabis, I am for legalization of it. I believe, just so y'all know, in Colorado, when it comes to out-of-state people who are buying recreational cannabis, Texas is the biggest out-of-state purchaser. So what we need to do is we need to legalize it and then treat it just like we do alcohol. As a bar owner, I can tell you there are a lot of conditions when it comes to the selling and the purchasing and then selling of alcohol, liquor. And we need to do the same thing with cannabis. And we need to have the same type of laws. You don't need to drive under the influence, and by doing so, we're actually keeping that tax money here in Texas, and we're adding to our revenue source. It's actually, from everything that I've read, recreational cannabis is actually less detrimental on the body than liquor. And Lord knows we sell some liquor. I'm not just talking about me at the bar. I'm talking about as a state, we sell a lot of liquor. So I believe the stigmatism that was attached to cannabis, it's almost non-existent now. So let's just legalize it and tax it like any other product that we sell, and put more money in the coffers. So thank y'all. Jonathan, thank you for your question. Oh, I'm missing. Oh, Jonathan. Okay, now I understand. Okay, I see who you are now, Jonathan. Sorry, I just get the first name. So, yeah, it's good to see you as well. And come see us sometime. Not that I'll be out very much, but if you see me having any type of rally or anything, please come out and see me. Okay, Jonathan. I'd love to see you again. Steve. Um, Jeffrey, I've always been told that the lottery is supposed to be helping our school systems. Steve, I'm so glad you brought that up. Let me tell y'all what happened back in the day when the lottery was actually put forth, pardon me, to the voting public. It was to help the school it was to add money to the educational system. And the law was actually written that 50% of it would help the educational system, whereas the other 50% would go to the general fund. But they didn't talk about that other 50%. They just said, vote for the lottery because it's going to help education. It's going to fund education. And I would say about 99.9% of us thought that what was going to happen was that would be extra money put on top of what we were already funding education. So very quickly, if education was getting $10 and you made $1 on the lottery, then $11 would be going towards education. That's not what happened. They put that dollar in the educational budget, which is good, thank you. But what they do on the bottom is take out $1. So you still only have $10 going towards education. I realized I'd dumbed that down, but you see what I'm saying. They put the money in at the top from the lottery, but then they take it out at the bottom. And so you still have the same amount of money going towards education. It was sold as a bill of goods, and we bought it, hook, line, and sinker. And what we will do when I become your next governor is lottery money will be added into the educational budget, just like it's supposed to. But we're not going to take it out on the back end so that we still have the same amount of money. It's supposed to increase our educational budget, not just maintain it. And so as your as your governor, we're actually going to do what we were all led to believe that law was going to do. Steve, thank you for bringing that up. I've kind of been waiting for someone to bring that up, and I really appreciate you having noticed that. And yeah, you were even right. I'm not seeing that. Well, that's why. And Lord knows I played the lottery. I keep waiting to hit that one. But we'll see. So thank you so much. Do you know where that money's going? The lottery, I'm assuming everyone's still talking about the lottery money. What happens is the lottery, the 50% of the lottery money that's for education goes to education. Then down the bottom, they take it out, like I was telling you. All they do is take it out and put it back in the general fund. No one knows where it actually goes. It just goes back into the general fund. We don't know if it's going towards parks and recreation. We don't know if it's going towards fighting yet another bill in court that's unconstitutional. We don't know if we don't know. It just goes to the general fund. There's very little transparency when it comes to government, especially Texas government. And, as someone that who personally has been involved in 3 nonprofits, transparency. You have to show your books. You have to show where the money's going. You have to show where the money's coming from. That's why I believe in campaign finance reform. That's why I believe in when you work with the state, you have to show where the money's going. And when you don't do that, you're building a wall between you and the people. And last time I checked, our revenue was your money. So you have a right to know where your money's going. and what your money is being spent on. And so I believe in transparency. You can ask, any one of my friends who knows me, even acquaintances who know me that know the nonprofits that I've dealt with. There's always been transparency, and you always have to have that, and that will continue on into state government. So if Steve and Kelly, if that's where your question was about the lottery, where that money is going when they take it off the bottom, it's going to the general fund. If that's not what your question actually was, let me know. Let me see. I need to do something on my computer. Okay, there we go. Michael asks, as you know, Amazon has been bidding to attempt to establish a separate corporate office here in Dallas, along with other cities. Any plans on attempting to create more jobs? Yes, and I still believe in big business. Don't get me wrong. Even though I honestly believe small business is actually the backbone of our economy. Big business is good. They come in, they hire a lot of people. And I like big business. What I do not like is the sweetheart deals that we're giving these large corporations in order for them to come to Texas. And in the form of these sweetheart deals, we're giving them breaks on their property tax with no regard to, are they really going to hire, for example, 1,200 people? Did they really hire 1,200 people? There's no checks and balance, but we're offering these sweetheart deals, and Amazon wants a few million, and more than a few million, to locate here. Where do we draw that line? If Texas had the education, the world-class education we're supposed to have, and that we're entitled to, businesses are going to come here because we have the educated population to fill those jobs. To have to go out and buy companies, or to, for lack of a better word, to pay them to come here, that's not how business needs to run. I don't believe that is, you can offer them incentives, but you don't give them everything in the kitchen sink to get them to come here. That's not how this works. And you especially don't do that because when it comes to their property tax, because when they're not paying their fair share of property tax, which are the loopholes that I want to close so we can start funding education like it needs to be funded. When they don't pay their property tax, and let's say they bring in people from out of state in order to fill some of these jobs, and they have children, they're going to school. Well, guess what? You know who the cost of education goes up, of course, because we have more people we have to educate. You know who that falls on to fund that? You and I, with our homes, with our home property tax. So the business gets the break, and well, we get the screws, quite frankly. That's how I see it. And so although I support big business and I support them coming in, there is a line that cannot be crossed, and that is to throw everything at them and give them everything we can, beyond reason, in order to say, oh, well, so-and-so moved here. We have to sit down with big business and say, you have a vested interest in ensuring that our children are educated. You have a vested interest to make sure that the next generation that's going to fill the jobs when we retire or when they expand, that we have the workforce ready for you. And they have a vested interest in that. And until we start pounding that into their heads and saying, we're willing to do some things because we do want big business here, but we're not going to give you everything. And we're not going to give you millions upon millions upon millions of tax breaks and incentives in order to move here. Because when does the analysis come out that we even got our return on investment back? And that's what we have to look at. What is our return on investment? And did our return on investment actually come at the expense of each of us as individuals because we had to pay higher taxes. And I don't consider that a return on investment. So, Michael, thank you very much for your question. I appreciate that. Kelly asked, is there a way to make colleges in the state of Texas part of free education like other states for residents so people can afford it? That's a very good question. Thank you, Kelly. Again, sorry, allergies are killing me. When I've looked at the educational program, the first thing we're looking at is the K through 12. We have to correct that. We have to right that ship. What we're looking at as far as higher education, what I'm calling higher education, is after the 12th grade. We're looking at trade schools, we're looking at community colleges, and we're looking at state colleges. I believe what we can do is work our path. Excuse me, y'all. We can make a path to where trade schools and community colleges are offered to individuals so that it does not cost them, the person that's attending. And here's the reason. You make an investment, and y'all are going to hear me talk about return on investment a lot. As a businessman, I always look at my return on investment. So you make your investment on the front end by allowing someone to go to a trade school or to community college in which to get their associate's degree. And when they finish and they're able to come out and complete their program, they actually immediately become a productive member of society. Pardon me. Okay, y'all, I hate to do this, but I got to put a cough drop in my mouth. So sorry about that. When someone comes out of school and they don't have debt, then they're able to, they get their job, the job that they had wanted to get, and then they start paying taxes. They start putting money back into the revenue stream. When, pardon me, when that happens, they're able to buy a home rather than move back home with mom and dad or a relative, or for their best friends in one small apartment. When they buy that home, they have to put stuff in that home. And when they have to put stuff in that home, they're paying taxes, sales tax. They're buying that new car. So we make our investment on the front end. And then on the back end, when they finish, they're actually suddenly revenue generating, tax paying citizens rather than people who are heavily in debt, where they're spending that money instead of on something that's generating revenue for us, they're paying back a loan. Going forward, once we get the trade schools and the community college, the associate degrees and so on, once we get that hammered out, then my next project, my next move would be going to the four-year colleges, state colleges, excuse me. If you want to go to a private college, I'm all for it, go for it, but you're on your own. I don't believe public money should ever be used for private schooling. So when you look at four-year colleges, that would be my next goal, is to then be able to, if not free, at least what can we do to drive down the cost of state colleges so that when someone does graduate and they go into the workforce, they're becoming revenue generating citizens of Texas rather than loan paying citizens, which add nothing to our bottom line. And so I do believe that what we need to do is make the investment on the front end so that on the back end, we're getting our return on investment. And that's how I see that playing out. I believe that was Kelly that asked that question. Kelly. Oh, Kelly, I'm sorry. I just saw it was you. Good to see you, Kelly. Steve asked, what are your thoughts on a state income tax? Um, I'm not sure, Steve, that would ever float in this state. Um, I do believe that a state income tax is something that is more stable than a property tax. Um, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Um, I believe that would be a hard sell across the board. Um, many individuals move here because we don't have a state income tax, but we do have a regressive tax in the property tax system. It's a state income tax would be, I believe, a better avenue, but at the same time, I just don't think it's ever going to come to fruition, not anytime soon. And that's unfortunate. But, when I lived in Louisiana, we had property tax and we had state tax, state income tax, excuse me. And, but our property tax was nominal. On a $150,000 home, it was maybe $300 a year. But we had state income tax. It's something that is always there, is always something I'll look at. But I honestly, Steve, I just don't believe that Texas would ever go for a state income tax, at least in the current environment that we have. But I do believe it is a more stable tax. However, that isn't going to change anyone's mind. So, Steve, I appreciate you asking that question. I don't either. Okay. Thank you, Steve. I do, on a personal note, I do believe that a state income tax is actually a better tax system than, I believe it's more fair across the board. But we'll see how it goes once I'm sworn in. Who knows? We'll make miracles happen. So, what are we're only at 32 minutes. We're only halfway through. Let's see. And again, y'all, I apologize that I'm sucking on a cough drop while we're doing this, but I figured it's better than me coughing at you this entire time. Well, I guess that didn't really work. Just know that, again, I want to remind everyone that the triple return on your contribution. So whatever you give, I have two friends that are matching it. I wanted to let you know too, when you make your contribution, we have thank you gifts that you can choose from. It's on our website. We don't have a mug around here, a mug and a tumbler. But if you make a $5 donation, you can get a bumper sticker. Ta-da! I guess I can move my fingers. There you go. Or you can get a button, and it's a pin back. And we have, if you contribute $25, we have a yard sign. Which I think is actually, here comes the yard sign. Okay. Ta-da! Actually, it looks just like the sign behind me. So we have that, and it also comes with the brackets so you can stick it in your yard. I will say it's kind of cute on my street. Everyone on my street is supporting me. And so it's really odd to drive down my street and you see all of my signs up. I say we start doing that across Texas. Now for $30, if you make a $30 contribution, you can get a t-shirt. And these are those really soft shirts. Says Rise with Jeffrey. There we go. For $35, we have the hat. And it's made by Union Wear. So these are These hats are actually not just embroidered, but they're actually made and embroidered by our wonderful men and women in the union. We also have a coffee mug. Yep, Rise with Jeffrey. And it's blue on the inside as well. And I really like these. My husband, Sergio, was very excited to get that. So he has his morning coffee in that now. That's with a $40 contribution. And then we have, for a $50 contribution, we have the thermal travel mug. And oh, here's some, that was just paper. And then on there, I don't know if you can see that, it's actually etched. And it's etched in there, Rise with Jeffrey. So we have all of those. So we have thank you gifts. Now the thank you gifts continue on until the end of this campaign, which will be in November. But the triple your contribution actually ends on Sunday night at midnight. So please, if you're able, contribute to the campaign. I wanted to let y'all know, we, as a campaign, the staff really promoted the Angel Tree this year and the Project Warm Us. We were a drop-off point for both of those, and we had so many people come by and pick up angels for individuals who were in need of just Christmas gifts, you know, and the Christmas gifts ranged across the board, and but the project, and then the Project Warm Us were jackets and socks and mittens and caps and so on, to assist individuals who needed clothing such as that in order to keep warm over the winter months. And I will say that at one point, y'all can't see it, but we had so many jackets and blankets, and I mean, just you name it. It took an entire SUV with the seats down in the back and the front seat filled, and I mean stacked to the ceiling, for us to get it all over to Project Warm Us. But on a personal note, I just want to thank each and every one of you who participated, who got the word out, and truly, with the Angel Tree and the Project Warm Us, y'all really made a difference in so many people's lives. So thank y'all very, very, very much for doing that. It was a success, and we also had some of our campaign go over to the Texas Food Bank. Was it the Texas Food Bank? I believe it was, where they helped stock shelves and everything and get ready for the Christmas season to assist people with making sure that they had food over this holiday season and beyond. Texas Food Bank is, every day of the year. So for those of you who joined us for that, I appreciate that. Thank y'all. What's the latest state to still donate toys and stuff for needy families? Is it only until Christmas? The toy drive, I believe, was actually over Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. However, they are still accepting toys throughout the year, because there are other times that they actually give toys. So if you have anything and you need to, if you need to know where to do a drop-off, or if you need us to pick it up from you, please let me know, because we know here in Dallas where we can drop it off. But because we do so much travel, if we're going to be in your neck of the woods, ooh, I just went country on you, didn't I? If we're going to be in your neck of the woods, let me know. We're happy to pick them up from you and deliver them here. So even though it officially ended for the Christmas season on Wednesday, they are still always accepting toys and such. So thank you very much. I appreciate you asking that, Kelly. And, it was interesting. I was asked earlier before we went live, we were a few minutes late going live. It was it was we had a meeting this morning in Ellis County. Went down there and met with the Ellis County Democrats and sat around and had coffee. And it was very interesting, and I had a wonderful time. And but driving back, it's about a 40-minute drive, and the weather was just horrendous. So it took us a little longer. So we were a little late in getting started. We didn't start till about 12:05 today. So I appreciate all of y'all hanging out. But I was asked about my favorite Christmas by one of my staff members, and I'd have to say, oddly as it may sound, last Christmas was truly the best Christmas that I can remember in a very, very long time. We had decided not to go all out on the decor, where you plug in, so many lights that you're rivaling the Griswolds from Christmas Vacation. We just had a simple tree. Part of that was because it was a small tree that sat up on a table because we have so many dogs. So part of it was to keep it simple. Part of it was just because I didn't want the dogs to, tear up a tree. But it was a time where Sergio and I, we actually took a day off, which is rare. And we just got to spend the day together. And he cooked because he can cook, believe me. I like to bake, but he's a cook. And he made a wonderful lunch for us, and we just got to spend the day together. And I will say that was probably one of the happiest holidays for me, Christmases for me, simply because I got to spend some time with my husband. So to answer your question, that was my happiest Christmas, was last year. And it looks like we're going to do a repeat of it this year. So I'm very excited about that. He's going to make a couple of steaks, and so I'm happy. Lewis asked, how do we check if we are registered to vote? I know you can go online. What I'll do is for next Friday, we'll post the actual websites that you can go to, and so that you can actually check to make sure you are registered to vote. Because if you're not, you need to get registered. There's early voting. Early voting is in February. I'll get those dates for you. There is a link on our website to vote to register by February 5th. If you register by February 5th, then you can vote on March 6th. It's too soon if you register by February 5th to early vote, but you still would be able to vote in the primary on March 6th. But always feel free, if you're in our area of Dallas, you can always stop by here, and we can get you registered to vote. If we're out on the campaign trail, please stop by one of our rallies, and we will be able to give you the form so that you can register to vote as well. But early voting actually does start February 20th. And I believe it goes through, I want to say it's usually 2 weeks, but I'll have to check on that. I apologize. It's Friday. I'm trying to remember everything. But I do know early voting starts February 20th. And speaking about voting, it is imperative that we all get out and vote. That's your voice. We saw what happened in last November when people didn't get out to vote, stayed home, thought their vote didn't count. And your vote does count. Look at, I believe it's in Virginia, where the Democrat lost by 10 votes. Then they did a recount. She won by 1 vote. And then they did another recount, and it's a tie. Every vote truly does count, and these aren't the times for us to just sit back and hope things get better. This is the time for us each to take action to ensure things do get better. And whether you support me or another Democrat, listen to what everyone is saying. Listen to what their policies are. Are they in depth? Do they make a bunch of promises but don't tell you how in the world they're going to pay for it? Do they just have talking points? Or do they actually say, the school system needs to be improved. We need a world-class educational system, and this is how we're going to get there. Healthcare. I do believe in health. Everyone has the right to healthcare, and we need to make sure it's accessible to everyone. And I have a plan to get there. And it's easy for anyone, I don't care what party they're in, to stand up and just make a bunch of promises. But unless you tell them how you're going to get there, it's a hollow promise. And that's where our campaign is a little different. Well, it's different on many levels, but one of the things that we pride ourselves on is when I say, this is what I believe, and then this is how we're going to get there. And this is how we're going to pay for it. I don't believe in driving up debt needlessly, just to make a point. So listen to the candidates and then make your choice. But whatever you do, get out and vote. In 2014, for the gubernatorial race, 27, almost 28% of registered voters, people who were registered, who could vote, only 27, almost 28% of those individuals actually voted. That means less than a third of our Texas population who could vote made the decision on who is going to run the government for 4 years. Let's not let that happen again. Let's get out there and truly have our voices heard. All of us get out there and not just you. Make sure your family's voting. Make sure your friends are voting. Make sure your family's voting. And really push it. This is our year. 2018 is the year. And we're going to do it, and we're going to do this together. And I'm excited about what 2018 holds for us, because and when my staff is over here, they're cheering. 2018 holds a lot of promise for us, but we have to get out there and we have to make it happen. It just isn't going to happen on its own. So again, thank all of you for joining me today. We still have about 10 minutes, but let me see if there's any questions that came through on the internet. On the email. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Oh, 2 minutes. Sorry. 10 minutes, 2 minutes. I guess I'll wrap this up then. Remember, 1, your triple contribution ends on Sunday night at midnight. So if you're able to make a contribution, I know it's the holiday season, and we're out buying gifts and everything for everybody. But if you can make a contribution, even if all you can do is $5, that $5 turns into $15. And it gets us farther down the road. It gets our message out more. If you're able to do 20, suddenly that 20 is what, 60? So if you're able and to make the contribution, we truly appreciate it. Merry Christmas to all of you. Please be safe out there, especially for those of you who are in where the weather isn't so good today. So be careful on the road. Be careful with that last minute shopping. Um, Next Friday, 12 o'clock. I promise I'll be on time next Friday. Um, it's We'll do Ask Jeffrey live at 12 o'clock Central Standard Time. And we have to say Central Standard Time because El Paso is on Mountain Time. So please remember to tune in next weekend. I'm sorry, next Friday. And I hope everyone truly has a Merry Christmas. Um, you know, spend some time with your family, spend some time with your friends, and uh, enjoy it. And we look forward to seeing all of you out on the road in the weeks and couple of months to come. So y'all take care, and I'm going to sign out for now, and I look forward to seeing all of you very, very, very soon. Thank y'all. Merry Christmas.